back live for the free preview of the newest, only on Patreon show, More Pain. And of course, I'm joined by Michael Moore, Thomas Paine of True Pundit. Michael, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Jason?
Difficult day for people like us from the tri-state area who were here 17 years ago when the attacks of September 11th occurred. You and I are going to go a little bit in depth tonight, talking about your coverage of the event and various things that surrounded it. Why don't you give us a little preview of what you're going to be discussing later on patreon.com/truepundit and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth.
So one of the things that we're working on for this major project, Intel project we're working on, is a lot of the things that happened in the aftermath of 9/11 and the government's response to it. And some of this stuff is completely disgrace and has not been reported. I don't know why it hasn't been reported, but it hasn't been reported. So we're going to touch on some of those things. I might drop a major truth tonight, something that we're working on. It's going to be part of the book. The reason I can do that is because although it's a huge story in itself, it actually pales in comparison to the larger story that we're working on. So I don't mind giving a little bit away right now because I think it's germane to talk about today. But it is a big story, and you probably won't see it anywhere else because most of these people, most of these journalists, I don't know. Yeah, I read this. It's like the same. It's like Groundhog Day, the movie. Every day I wake up, I see these news stories. None of them are that good. They're all like ancillary or kind of beating around the bush. Where are the news sources that really deliver? Like, I want somebody who delivers. I want to read some good stuff. I'm tired of reading. Somebody writes one thing and somebody picks it up and it's all the same. Blah blah blah. This congressman said this. Who out there is doing investigative work that's good?
Michael, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do want to recommend a website to you. You can go to truepundit.com. They're breaking stories daily over there that will blow your mind. Chris Peranto's been kicked off of Twitter for the second time in a week, and you don't seem to be laughing, but that was a little bit of a joke. Tip of the hat, of course, to your website, which I'm checking daily, and I think is a valuable resource for all of our viewers.
Well, generally, real quick, it's a sign of disrespect to be messing with Tonto around 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what happened in Benghazi, was another 9/11 debacle. Yes. And the fact that Twitter is playing games with him when he's naturally stressed at this time of year, because anniversaries like this dredge up a lot of emotion, and it's a tough time, especially with PTSD. I'm not saying that Chris has PTSD, but knowing the guys contractors that deal with these things and what he went through and his teammates went through and losing people, and also, then being disrespected by the former president of the United States. I mean,
terrible.
Tonto and Geist and those guys, they saved like 35 people. Nobody talks about that. And they couldn't even get on an airplane. There were so many people from the U.S. consulates that they put on airplanes to get back home first, and they stayed behind. So for a U.S. president who didn't show up for 6 hours to 10 hours during a time of crisis, it's like we're living in the Twilight Zone. And what Twitter is messing with this guy, it really shows that there's a lack of decorum. There's a lack of decency, and he should be treated with respect, especially this time of year because it's tough for himself and his family. And anybody who doesn't realize that has serious problems. And I don't appreciate veterans and contractors who stuck their neck out and risked their lives for Americans to be treated that way. I don't like it. And I think he has a legitimate beef, and he's not backing down. So, I mean, you wouldn't expect the guy to back down. Come on, the guy is like the real deal.
He is.
So
now, Michael, you and I, we don't promote violence, but Would you at all be interested if tickets were offered, let's say, for like a steel cage match with Jack Dorsey, Barack Obama, and Chris Paronto in a 3-man enter, 1-man leaves tournament?
Don't take this the wrong way, but I think that belittles Chris Paronto and his team. I think this is a very serious thing. I'm not trying to be like
right. I shouldn't
Debbie
joke
Down about it. But I think that this is a guy, people don't understand. They think it's just like the movies. When the movie's over, 13 hours, when the movie's over, everybody leaves and they're like, wow, that was a real intense movie. And they just go back to their lives. It's not that way for people who are in these situations. They can't go back to their lives. Nothing is ever the same. So, I know people were talking about, this, that, like what you just said about some kind of a grudge match. But I just think that these are people, and these are scary people. Like, you don't want to mess with these guys. I know a lot of these guys. And on the intel side, I was one of those guys. I mean, I wasn't a guy with a gun. But, when you make certain people who have we talked about this in Philly, like, it's literally like the Liam Neeson movie.
Yeah.
People with a certain set of skills that are really good at what they do. These are the people that you don't want to mess with. And I wouldn't want to mess. I mean, why would you provoke somebody like that who's, we're not talking about, this hasn't been 20 years for him or 17 years for him. It's a little better at 17 years than it is at 6.
Yeah.
6. So what kind of person are you if you want to mess with this guy? And, that goes into some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight. These people are, I call them pod people, P-O-D, pod people. They're not real. Even the bureaucrats in Washington, they think they can get away with anything.
You mean the Obamas, the Dorseys, the people that totally disrespect someone like Chris Paronto, who not only risked his life, but had his life put in jeopardy by deliberate decisions that, in the case of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, that they made.
Or didn't make. These people were missing in action for a number of hours during that. We've written about it. You interviewed Chris Paronto on a story we did where they were, told to stand down, and the FES team, the State Department FES team, was told not to go in and save these people. And when Tonto found out about that, when you interviewed him after we wrote the story, and Robin Gritz went on the record from the FBI because she worked it as a CIA liaison to the FBI, he couldn't believe it. And he got choked up during the interview, like, So, I mean, and that's just you catching him during an interview. You guys were out in Vegas, I think, at SHOT Show.
Yeah. So
that's a long time ago. That's not on the anniversary of the debacle he had to go through. Right. So my point is, these guys are emotional, and there's a process to heal. And I don't think these people in D.C. understand and have any respect for anybody who fights for this country's freedoms. And I'm personally tired of it. And it goes to what we were talking about last night. You and I had a long talk about 9/11. Yeah. And there's just so many things that these people just constantly disrespect, push the envelope, cover up after cover up after cover up. This stuff isn't even public yet. And when it goes public, it's going to be pretty crazy. Now, we're going to talk about one of those things tonight that's very disturbing. And we'll take it from there. But every day is a new low for this country. And something needs to be done about it, because I don't appreciate a lot of the things that are going on. And we're working hard trying to uncover these things. And we've uncovered a lot of things. And nothing seems to happen. So eventually, if there's enough friction, something's going to happen somewhere. I mean, that's our philosophy. Somebody's got to do something about it eventually. So we keep plugging away. But
in just 21 minutes, we're going to go live only on Patreon. And of course, people who are sponsoring True Pundit on Patreon, if you go to patreon.com/TruePundit, you're going to get the exclusive live stream. You can also see it if you're a sponsor of Crowdsource the Truth at patreon.com/Crowdsource the Truth. You've got additional benefits to sponsoring True Pundit. You're going to get, well, Mike, why don't you tell everybody what they're going to get for sponsoring True Pundit on patreon.com?
Well, we're trying to roll out a different, we have one level where we're doing this show. And I really like talking on this show because I can connect directly with people. Chat while the show's going on. That's cool. They talk to each other, and maybe I'll be proficient enough to talk to you and also check the chat one day. But right now I'm just trying to focus on what I'm going to say so I don't make a complete jerk out of myself. But so we're rolling out some kind of a plan. I think it's like $8 if you want all the stuff to my computer's wild. If you want $8 to it's like all of a sudden it's dark. $8 if you it's like I was like, what happened? If you want daily posts by me and stuff that I can't say on Twitter because Twitter has become a minefield.
Yeah.
You can't even say what you want to say anymore. And I'm not talking about really controversial stuff. I'm just talking about you don't know what's going to happen when you start saying things on Twitter. I mean, look at everybody. Look what they did to Tonto. He was just really frustrated. So it's $8, and then we're rolling something out. I think it's $30, and you get a T-shirt and everything. You get the show. You get some kind of T-shirt. I don't know if we're going to do a couple T-shirts a year or how it reads. I have to look at it between now and 8 o'clock. But so we're going to try that, see how it goes. But I feel good about being on here because I think I have a lot to say, and people seem to like what I have to say. And I'm talking about things that nobody's talking about because they don't have the access, or they have the access and they're afraid to talk about it.
Right.
But I'm at the point in my career where I'm not afraid. I mean, I wasn't afraid in my 20s because I was a little bit crazy. But nothing has really changed. Even the people I went to college with are like, you're still the same guy. Like, you will run into a burning building. You're not worried about things. And that's just the way I am.
And that's what people love about you.
I want to talk about good things. I want to talk about things that nobody's talking about because who wants to talk about? I watch TV at night with sometimes these late night shows. They talk about the same thing over and over. They've been talking about the same thing for 5 years.
Yeah. It's really crazy. And that's what people love about you, Mike. You just speak off the cuff. You tell it like it is. And you've just hit the nail on the head. This is really the main reason why we're utilizing Patreon.com. And people should be supporting True Pundit by going to Patreon.com/TruePundit. We're looking at their Patreon page right now. So there's a lot more content on there than just More Pain. But of course, More Pain is the exclusive new show that you can only see on Patreon.com/TruePundit or Patreon.com/CrowdsourceTheTruth. And we're not putting this behind a paywall because we're trying to restrict the information. We've been forced to seek out a way of sharing this information that doesn't get us banned and blocked and shadow banned and shut down. Michael's told me in our personal conversations that when his book comes out in October, it's going to change the world. So tonight we're going to get a sneak peek into that, and we're going to begin in just 17 minutes on Patreon.com/TruePundit and Patreon.com/CrowdsourceTheTruth. So I hope everybody can join us there. We're going to be looking back. We're going to be remembering 9/11, not just the attacks in New York and Washington, D.C., and whatever it is that happened in Pennsylvania, but we're also going to talk about Benghazi, Chris Peranto, and what is essentially the second 9/11 that happened in 2012 when the coward Barack Obama was missing in action while Chris Peranto and other veterans and American heroes were under fire, losing their lives, taking permanent injuries, only to be insulted by the same scumbag lowlives that put them in that position. It is truly disgraceful, and our feelings go out to Chris Peranto and his colleagues on this day, and to the families of those killed in 2001.
Good point.
So, Michael, I'll see you right back here on Patreon.com/TruePundit and Patreon.com/CrowdsourceTheTruth at 8 o'clock. So we'll be right back in just 15 minutes. Thanps for tuning in, everybody.
Cool. Thank you.